Huh?
All right, here we go. Okay. Is it a hump or a drop? What do you say? You got to twist your words in every which way, because the motto will always dictate what you do. Everybody knows that you've got the model affliction blues. Is it a straight line or does it curve? Some people unclamp it, but that is absurd. We all know that the model will always dictate what you do. Everybody knows that you are model afflicted blue. Model affliction. It's your addiction. That model affliction. It brings you so much pain. It's your ball and chain. Conflating curvature with elevation change has got your local distance just out of range. That old biggie is gonna dictate everything that you do. And everybody knows that you got the model affliction blue. It's your decision defending the model position. You just don't know the geometric propositions. That old ball, it'll always be illogical to you. That's why perpendicularity is a puzzle to you. Model affliction. It's your addiction. Model affliction. It brings you so much pain. It's your ball and chain.
World famous Buster. And we are live. Welcome everybody. This is Model Affliction Monday, and it seems that the model afflicted are once again going on the attack with their crazy own particular brand of crazy. It's about time me personally, I'm the one that's under attack. Me and my family now, as always. That's how I started with this. They come in and tempted me in with an attack on my family And that's what drew me in. And now, again, once again, always, every time, whenever model afflicted get put into a corner, when very simple arguments happen, that's when I guess we carry on doing the same sort of thing. But it needs to be mentioned that because of the simplification of the argument down to the most basic through advanced simplicity, what's occurred is the model afflicted have nowhere to go. And so instead of them coming up with an argument like any normal person would, it's been pointed out that they have no argument. They just sort of go on the attack for some reason. I'll give you an example. And now this is not so long ago from Twitter. A guy called Mactoon. You might have heard of him. He considers himself a rather big name within this arena. Obviously model afflicted. He's talking about my son here. He says, it's your fault, you taught him lies. Well, we're going to have to write that, because you can't have people just slandering and libeling you sort of stuff like that. I've never taught my son lies. Why would I want to do that? Who in their right mind would want to teach their children lies? It sounds ridiculous. Makes me think that Mactoon doesn't have any children. People who say things like this. He says, you have sentenced him to ridicule until he realizes his father screwed him and rebels. He will despise you. This is Mactoon, the bitter, horrible, twisted globe defender with no argument. So this is what he does. Then he says, I want to be certain that you understand this person's name. Try thinking. You are at fault for your kid getting ridiculed. One day, it's Mactoon that's doing the ridiculing, right? He says that it's me that's at fault for Mactoon ridiculing my son. What a dick. It says, you are at fault and your kid getting ridiculed. One day he will realise this and despise you for the lies you are teaching him. Refer back to this tweet in a few years, says Mactoon. Well, I have tweets and stuff that I can refer back to from a few years ago where there was another person calling me a child abuser for teaching my son lies. And those lies are that level is horizontal, strangely enough. This model afflicted fool considers that to be a lie. Well, there is also another tweet. I'll get this one for you. I'll let you know. The beginning of the week. This one. So, this is what we have here. This is Steve McRae, who owns the, well, he is of the Non Sequitur show. I don't think he used to have it. But this is Steve McRae of the Non Sequitur show. And he says, sure we will. Bring what you have this Friday. Come on show. I will set it up this Friday. 10th of the, it's the 7th of the 10th, 6 p.m. PDT. We are doing a flat earth show confirmed by Red's Rhetoric. And we will see you there. So he wants me on a flat earth show. That's Red's Rhetoric and Steve McRae. So this Friday coming, I will be on Red's Rhetoric, and well, it's Steve McRae's thing. I think the non sequitur show is the one that Ruhif funded the court case, so Steve McRae could take the non sequitur show. It's been a while since we heard from Ruhif. But yeah, it seems like that court case actually did some good or bad or whatever. But Steve McRae now has the non sequitur. Now, this is a follow-up from They Want Me On, because obviously everybody knows that when we went to have a discussion with Red's Rhetoric about the terms of the debate, he kicked us from the meeting. So this is a bit of a surprise that Steve McRae has decided to do a show. I'll get the link if somebody can give us the link to it, because he's already titled it. He's got a thumbnail for it and everything. It's got my name on it already. He's building it up. So this is what Red's Rhetoric says about this Friday, that they've said that I'm going to be there. Let me make this very clear, Bev. This will not be a debate. So he's already admitting he's got no arguments, right? He says, the reason is because you don't have the mental capacity to debate. That's Red Rhetoric saying that to me. My goal is to show exactly why one reason is your argument rests, inverted commas argument, rests on word salad and ignorance of colloquial usage of certain words you love so much. So this is what we've got to look forward to on Friday, where I will be presenting a couple of simple basic arguments to Red's Rhetoric and Steve McRae. And Red's Rhetoric apparently will be rebutting these arguments. It definitely won't be a debate, Red's Rhetoric said. So all it is me getting a chance to go over there and show them exactly how arguments work within logical form, to show them how you end up with a proof and how you end up with all of these things and the logical process that occurs around an argument. So that'll be good, at least. So that we'll get ready for that this week, and it'll be on Friday. At the end of the week. Free for all Friday, 2 a.m. UK time. So we'll do the normal show. We'll do a 6-hour show, and then we'll go straight into the not debate over there at Red's Rhetorics, where we get to show Reds and Steve McRae what an argument actually looks like, seeing as they don't have one for themselves. Just an argument from reality. A couple of them. So that's what we've got coming at the end of the week. Now, it is hotting up because of this sort of thing. These guys know that I'm not a flat earther. So going on a flat earth show, I mean, obviously, everybody knows that Red's Rhetoric and Steve McRae and all of them must be flat earthers, right? They want to do a flat earth thing. So I'll be going over there to explain to them just how logical arguments work. We have this idea here on this channel within this Discord server of practicing epoche, which is just releasing all dogma, reserving judgment on all matters regarding dogma. So where there is no proof available, it's just you reserve judgment on it. You can hold both ideas until enough evidence or proof comes around for you to decide. And to me personally, the shape of the earth is fucking ridiculous argument. It's already sorted. Geometry is the only thing that you need to deal with, and everybody knows that straight lines are definitely straight with no curvature. And once you understand exactly how arguments work and geometry works, that's enough for you to know. You don't need to go into any other strange argumentation or arguments where you start shouting at people or start. You can just go along as you normally do. So make it sure, right, that Red's Rhetoric has said this will not be a debate on Friday. Just it will be a presentation from me to show everybody that's in Red's Rhetorics and Steve McRae's audience exactly how logic and arguments work. So that'll be good. That's what's coming up. I'll keep you updated through the week to make sure it all definitely happens.
For me, it means from what you read from Red's Rhetoric, it seems for me that he is afraid of debating you, and he in advance is trying to insult you to excuse himself why he is not able to debate you. In fact, for me.
Yeah.
But he is just projecting. Because you cannot debate, then he will not debate. So this is very cheap trick for me. But that's me.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, he has no argument, so all he has is these sort of pseudo sophistry. In his mind, it obviously works. He can appease himself with this stuff. But I mean, he's back in 2019 or whatever. His mind's still all the way back there. He's not progressed. He's not learned any of the actual arguments that we've brought. He doesn't know anything about the geometric side of this argument. I can guarantee it. So it will be fun. If you're listening in, Reds, it'll be good fun on Friday. I'll have a blast. I've not heard anything back from Modern Day Debates, which is strange. They just tried to make it a 2v2 on Friday. Oh yeah, I don't know. Does everybody know that? What occurred on Friday? Because they did decide that they wanted to have a debate after calling the debate off.
Guy in there.
Yeah.
They had a debate with some Australian guy.
Yeah. Well, on Friday night, like live, we were here talking about it, and they said the debate was off. Right? It would, because the guy was ill and they couldn't find anybody. Then after about half an hour, they said they found somebody who wanted to debate. And would I be able to go? And I said, well, yeah, why not? I'll go over there and have a chat. So I joined the Zoom meeting, and there was me and the moderator, Amy. And then all of a sudden, two guys appeared, and I said, oh, there's two of you. What are you doing? Because I was thinking I was going to debate two people, because I thought they was holding hands or something. I was ready to do a debate with those two guys. And then they said they're just doing a 2v2. And that 2v2 was, my partner was the Australian guy. Flat Earth Aussie. So yeah, I obviously declined that because I didn't want to be debating with a partner of who I haven't got a clue. I don't even know anything about him. So yeah, I declined that. I didn't sign up for a 2v2 or anything. I didn't even know that they were doing that. So why they did that? Not got a clue. Why they put a 2v2 in? Why they didn't just get one guy against me, or to have a chat? Seems very strange.
I have answer, because they knew that you don't know the guy, and they I think they wanted both of you to contradict yourself in argumentation, because it is obvious. For me, this is ridiculous setup. So and I think that the only purpose for them, it would be for you in your team, this guy Ozzy, because I think you don't know this guy. So obviously it would be a hilarious effect. So I think, but for me, setting up that kind of, and in that way, debate, it is just a joke. Joke.
Yeah, last minute 2v2. Like, that wasn't a debate at all. They knew what arguments I was going to bring. I told them the particular arguments that I was definitely going to bring. So, yeah, I don't know. I'm not that keen to show my arguments and have them ridiculed alongside somebody who would rebut them, or just tie them alongside something ridiculous.
And by the way, if they could set up this 2 versus 2, I think it is much easier to set up 1 versus 1.
Yeah.
So they made additional effort last minute. For me, this is not natural. So joke, or just framing you maybe in something.
Yeah, I mean, if they'd have said they needed a 2v2, we had SE, Rakir. There's loads of people that would have come along with us to do a 2v2 on that platform. So I'm not signing up to do a 2v2 with anybody who I don't know in a debate format that we haven't even organised how the debate's going to go. It's ridiculous. So, yeah, that's what happened. And since then, I've not heard back from them. I've said that I'll go there any day and do a 1v1 or a 2v2, but it'd be me and SE, or me and somebody else from this side that I know. Then we can complement each other within the debate scenario. I'm not working. I have actually been on the same team as Flat Earth Aussie, and it doesn't go very well.
Yeah, that was weird. It was either a miscommunication or I don't know what, but yeah, if you want 2v2, we can do that. But not like that. Come on.
So, the debate's out of the way. We are up for a debate. Any of us are up for an actual debate. That's what we are specialising in. We're specialising in the art of the argument, which is how to debate, how to efficiently debate and discuss with people logically, arguments and scenarios. Freestyle. Okay, so get rid of the debates. Now, back to the model Affliction Monday. Now, the model Afflicted that we're getting at the minute seem to be people who want to demean us personally, intellectually. Let's say they carry round with them this science, but it's not the same science as what I know. It's a completely different science. It's a model affliction science that only works upon the stated conclusion. And that conclusion is a model that they have formed in their minds. It's not a legitimate way of actually formulating thoughts or an actual scientific way for discovering knowledge. It's not that. This science that we're talking about is a pseudoscience that says, well, it's spread from science into geometry and also into the logic that surrounds stuff. Now, everybody knows that we have been dealing with logic. Now, this logic teaches you how to order your thoughts in a particular way. It teaches you how to formulate sentences together that actually mean something. They are thought-provoking sentences to lead you to a conclusion. Not force you into a conclusion, to lead you. Your own mind takes you there because of the way the sentences are put together to compel the mind to accept an obvious truth. And the better you can put the words together to formulate that, then you end up with a more coherent understanding of the conclusion that everybody can get to. It's very easy when this logic is formulated in the correct way and with the correct words being used. Now, we have been dealing with, yesterday we dealt with 6-7 hours of modern day sophistry. Now, I do actually have the recording of it. It would be a nightmare to listen to, but I'm guessing if people want me to put it out, I will put it out, and you can hear how the modern day sophists just literally go against basic logic to a shocking degree. Now, a lot of people say, why do you do that? Why do you put up with 6 or 7 hours of somebody talking rubbish? Well, me personally, I do it to test, to see how people can do these things. Now, the guy that we had in, the homie Don, he says he's only a young lad, 23, 24, something like that. And he says he's an astro space engineer. So when he says, but he initially says he's an engineer, and then adds in the astro space thing in afterwards, as though they're the same thing. Well, they're not really. But he said with his astro space science that level curves, and also here's another one from which I think is ridiculous, that science, blue marble science, states that the surface of everything is 2D, a conceptual surface. Not actual, not like a real surface, a conceptual surface that's actually unobtainable in reality. That's why we've titled this one 2D, 3D, or the people now, the sophists that have decided, the blue marble scientists that have we've been calling people names for not accepting science. Science deniers. Well, they don't actually mean actual science. No. Everyone can have science, the acquisition of knowledge. Everyone can do that.
You okay?
Are you there, SE?
Sure.
Hot mic. I got you. Somebody let us know when SE's back. So yeah, everyone can have the acquisition of knowledge, which is science in reality. But this new science, the one that they say is ruining children's minds, and they say you're lying to them, is if you don't accept this ridiculous science that is the opposite of science, really. They start with the conclusion of this new blue marble science. Inverted commas, frantic bunny ears. And then they ridicule people who have the proofs from reality to counter this ridiculous statements that they're making. These youngsters, I'm going to call them, at 24, being able to go into a room of practical people, experienced practical tradesmen, all sorts of people of mainly my audience is about above the 40-year range. So most of us in here are experienced enough in life to be experienced in many things, much more than you know that you had experience at that young age. And when I say 24 is young age, that's a young mind ready for fighting. But he's trying to do it mentally with ridiculous model that he has. And he's working everything backwards. It's definitely not a logical way of doing it. There's no argumentation coming from it, although he does mention arguments, that they have arguments. They like to use the words, the rhetoric, but not actually the descriptive words. They just... it's like a story, like a scripted story without any substance behind it.
SE is ready to come off of server mute.
All right, okay. There you go. Sorry about that, SE. Right, yeah, so I'm getting the feeling at the minute that there is a battle on. I've been challenged by a group of people, a very small group of people, to prove that I'm not lying to my children. Now, how do I do that? Well, the statement that they say I'm lying about is that level is horizontal. And the Euclidean geometry is the geometry of reality. That's what we can do. I know that personally because I've tested it, and it fits with me. I'm fine with that. I don't want to go after anybody. I don't want to particularly do that. But if I'm being forced to defend my family from people that are saying I've ruined my child's future by bringing him up the way I have, well, game on. I'm ready, but I am fully armed with arguments to back up the statements that I've made. I'm fully ready with proofs to come forward. We've got tests that we've already done. I've got ways of explaining these stuff now. So, yeah, game on. McToon, I accept your challenge. I will prove that I have not lied to my son about level being horizontal. Who's with me? It's all right. I'll do it on my own.
This accusation for me is just disgusting, so I don't want to comment on it, what he said.
Yeah, it's been all the time. It's been the particular band of horribleness, let's say, has come from a very small group within another group. But I mean, it is these people that are causing me to come up with proofs to prove that I'm not lying. I'm not a liar. I actually have proofs and arguments to take into a debate scenario. They haven't got any arguments. They cannot debate genuinely. They have to do this pseudo debate because they have pseudoscience. They have no arguments. They do not have logic, and they have a great big paralogism that they cannot look at. They cannot look into. They can't even see what it is that they're doing to their own model by showing this. So if anybody wants to go along with this, I don't know whether it's, I call it a fight. It's definitely a fight of people's minds now. There are a group of people that are literally gaslighting people. They're lying to people. And I've had enough. I'm fine. My son's fine. He knows he's fine. He knows what we do here. He's old enough now to understand what it is we're doing. Obviously, he's young. He can't see it. But he knows what's doing. And at some point, he will click. He seems wise enough, but time will tell. As with all people. But it's time for us to show everybody what exactly it is that we've been doing here. Because me personally, I came into this as just a normal bloke who had bought a camera for his autistic son to get him out and about. Now, that one initial camera buy is what's got him into photography. He's now left school and wants to be a photographer. So that initial buying the camera for him has inspired him to want to become a photographer. Is that bad? I don't know. Don't think so. I think I've tried to help him out as much as I can. And I'll be trying to help him out even more. And actually, he wants to... I'm going to try and get him into long distance photography because his speciality at the minute is, I think, having the most Fata Morgana sunrise or sunsets on the internet. I mean, I don't know how many other people have. I think we've got 5. And I'm not aware of anybody else having an infrared Fata Morgana, which we have here as well. So it's been hidden quite a lot, all of the stuff that we have done. We've done plenty of tests. Loads of tests, actually. We've done the laser test. Nobody bothered about that. We've done optics tests with the auto level. We've done about 3 or 4 of those. We've been to Bedford level with the Bedford levels with the auto level and the P1000. We've took all of the shots of that. My son has been in the dinghy 8 inches above the water, like Robotham. We've got the footage for that. So these guys that are calling me a liar and a child abuser for putting a camera in my son's hands, and he's got some amazing footage. 85 miles Isle of Man from 300 feet. We've got Isle of Man from the seaside at Southport, from the beach. These are just pictures that we have taken. Now, anyone can do this sort of stuff. Anybody that has any of these sort of cameras, P1000s, P900s, really good pieces of equipment for this sort of thing, long distance photography. Entry range, I mean, it is £1,000. A lot of people have spent that money. That camera work is my son. He's always done the camera, and I've said that all along. My son is the cameraman for all of the footage that we do. That's the truth. So all of the tests that we've done, all of the Fata Morganas, bar one, I think, me and the missus went out. Yeah, all of them, they're his. That's all of his stuff. Go on.
So from what you said, it means that your son knows that level is horizontal because he saw it on his own eyes, not because you just told him only. Because if he was participant of your tests, he knows this from his own experience. So this accusation of being liar, this is just nonsense. Besides this, that this is just disgusting, but it is nonsense.
Yeah, I think there's an element in the way these guys work is to try and put you on tilt. But as we know here, we have epoche, right? It's reserved judgment all the time. It helps you out, and it allows you to not be bothered about these things. So I think they're trying to do this. McToon is trying to use family within this debate scenario to try and put people on tilt. Then they start getting all like aggressive and angry and stuff like that. Well,
that's for sure.
Yeah.
This is normal, sophistical, or even not sophistical. This is Arthur Schopenhauer tricks. So this heuristic tricks. So he's just insulting people in advance to make you angry beforehand.
Yeah, but McToon's has been doing this all the time, and then he goes quiet. We never get that meeting, so it's sort of like those tricks, but from behind a wall that you can't get to. He's it's one of the weakest sort of things I've ever seen, really. And for McToon to be pretending to be a big name in all of this, and then actively showing everybody how to do these things. Because he leads an army of people that, well, I say an army. There is a big troll network that goes along with what McToon does. It's getting less and less now, I must admit. These globe defenders are getting fewer and fewer because it's getting harder and harder to defend this fucking ridiculous model. It's an impossible model. think most of them are realizing that and just having to disappear. But that's leaving the few that are left in this position now that they're being highlighted. These globe defenders, the big names, are the only ones left. And where they're being highlighted, and the fact that they cannot argue, they have no argument, they cannot debate. So they are showing us all of these tactics that they have, that they have to employ, and they have been employing for years. Because they've never had an argument. It's not as if they've lost it. They never had it to start off with. They've been fooling everybody with these ridiculous tricks. And they are tricks. Tricks to disguise the fact that they have no argument. They've got a lot of people that are compliant within this arena that keep the circular argument going around and around. That means the flat earthers and the globe earthers are all working together, so they can just keep a circular argument round and round and round. Tis either Count says it's getting fewer because it's boring. Yeah, I bet getting wrecked every time with a non-existent model with no argument does get boring. Just stating something's true without knowing that it is true or having any proof or anything to go with that is a bit old. I would imagine it gets really, really boring. And especially because you always have to do it from the chat, the text chat. Whenever anybody does come in here, like we had the homie Don yesterday, it's just circular argument after circular argument, going into a definitional thing and changing the definition. It's bad. Well, you can pretend it's word games, can't you? But I think everybody can see it's not word games. You actually have no argument, and everybody knows it. Oh, it's Ian. We got a birthday. Happy birthday, Ian. We'll see what we can do. See if we can get Buster to sing you a birthday 40th. That means that you've been under the age of the average. You've been bringing my average age of listeners down. 40's good age. Right. So. Yeah, we're all... Yeah. Everybody can pretend they're 40 and that'll do. Average age of 40. Yeah, so game on. Game on for the ball. Let everybody know they have no argument. We're not flat earthers. We just come from reality. Or the arguments that we bring are from reality. A globe earther, right, could come with this argument and use this argument. And nobody would be able to deny it. Everybody should be able to pick up these very simple arguments and be able to just talk to people about them. They are sort of so simple and so basic that it will be understood by anybody. Now, the problem is, the moment you bring a model in, And this is why we call this Model Affliction Monday. Because that model goes against these very simple, basic, understood truths. And there's your contradiction. When the truths go against what the model says. And what happens to the mind at that time? Well, I think these guys, the ones without a model, can just sort of accept the truth. With, you know, if the model's not there in your mind, nobody brings the model up. These are normal statements that everybody will go with. The moment the model comes in, and unfortunately, not unfortunately, over the last few years, we've been explaining to a group of people where the contradictions lie within reality and their model. Now, whenever you state a truth to people in normality, right, outside of this ridiculous arena where people are obsessed about the shape of things, out there, nobody thinks of the model. Not thought of. So they're not aware of what these guys that are in this arena require people to say, because they'll ridicule you for going along with basic natural truths, and it's only because they have a model that makes them do that. Hence the model affliction. The model makes them become like McToon. The model makes them vile, horrible people. So therefore, nobody's meant to go and talk to McToon. But like me, I'm not meant to be going to talk to McToon because McToon is a vile, horrible person to me and my family because of his model. But I'll show everybody. I don't care. I'm not affected by what McToon says about me and my family because the argument still stands. It's the argument that matters about that McToon is stating that I'm lying because the arguments I bring go against his model. That's it. Not that he can rebut the arguments we bring, or he can come up with another argument to beat it, to counter it. No, we can't do any of that. It just goes against what his model has to say. Now, there are a lot of people that go along with McToon that are also vile, horrible, and disgusting to other people. You may know them. You may know a few of them. If you've been around this arena for long enough, likely is you've met a few of these people and you've been turned away from them. You probably block them. Especially on social media. Nobody really wants these sort of people within their group, but that doesn't stop these people from gathering together to issue this libel, slander, ridicule, defamation. Doesn't really matter. Whatever they want to try and do, they will try and do it to whoever. So I'm here to let everybody know exactly what will happen if you decide to come into this arena. Now, this arena is dying. Everybody knows this particular arena's gone. It is no more. It's just filled with a load of hate-ridden, disgusting, vile, horrible degenerates. And when I say that, I just mean the globe defenders that stick within this particular place. They keep coming over here to come and talk to us, to try and explain their model, to show us that we don't have the intellect or something. It's very strange. And the amount of contradictions that you hear coming from one person shows that their minds must be messed up. It's no wonder that they're talking about hate and ridiculing people, because their minds are messed up for their own sakes. I mean, all you have to do is see any of the tweets that these people send out, the negativeness that they put within their tweets and their messages towards other people. It's not a normal way to do things. If you want to aid people and help them, you don't ridicule them. It doesn't work like that. I pity these people if they have children, because their techniques of teaching is back to front to me. It doesn't help for you to just ridicule people and slander, libel, call them liars, with no argument to back anything up. People have heard it. Well, it's ending with this, what we do here: logic, trivium, geometry. We use all of these tools in the future. We are going to be doing, well, I think we have been doing anyway, but focusing on the importance of it, because there are going to be some pretty hard times coming for everyone. And the only thing you're going to have is your own mind. And to keep your own mind stable, you have to have a firm understanding of how it works and how to keep calm, because there will be people going crazy. There already is. Literally insane. Insane meaning a logical break in the mind, where a place where paradoxes can exist. Once you accept a paradox, likelihood your logic within your mind is broken, and therefore your mind will also be broken. We just want to try and help people. Well, as I say, help people. This is a safe place, but whenever you come into this particular Discord and these people that we have in here, you will have a logical understanding. Hopefully, we'll try to bring people into the sort of way of thought of looking at things, let's say that. Because a lot of these times, when you look at things, once you've been afflicted by the TV, the programming on the TV, the advertising, the subtle ways that these people work to influence you with words and spells. Spell casting, using words to manipulate people, mainly through rhetoric. The logic, the trivium, and the geometry are all tools that we can help stable the mind and give an understanding. Once you have logic, you have your very own bullshit detector. And you will start to see how bad this particular scenario, argument, debate scenario, or whatever is. Because once you try and break it down into how the argument's formed, you'll find out that there isn't much to substantiate at the beginning of it. It's tough. It's tough for people. And we were watching in amazement yesterday, a full room of us, really, of the youth, the sophistry, the modern sophistry of the youth, and how they think they are so much smarter whilst having very little understanding of what's going on. Spot on. Yes, positive vibes for everybody. We try and keep everything positive here, not to go into the negativity, which can be easy. And I think that's what a lot of this stuff, like the way the McToons does that sort of thing. I mean, everybody knows how it works. You stick your head up, you make a comment anywhere, and it will be bombarded by people that don't agree with your particular comments or your particular viewpoint or your particular argument, the way you use it and the way you did it, and maybe your tone or so. They're just, it'll fill up or whatever. So a lot of people don't like the idea of sticking their head up out of the trenches. And that's good, because that's I think that's why these people do this sort of thing. They like to keep people away, because then that way they can look like the bigger group. But trust us, they're not. It's a tiny little group of people that are model afflicted. The majority of people are not model afflicted, or they're not aware of their model affliction. And I think it's not a good idea to bring their model affliction into the forefront, because it normally ends up in negative type arguing. I'm going to try and separate the argument from arguing. There does seem to be a difference nowadays. It's one of those things where the word has changed. And maybe that's what these guys want, right? I think that's the reason for them doing this sort of thing. Somebody say something.
Back in the day, in old good days, arguing and argument obviously were the same.
Mm-hmm.
So argument was a noun, and argue was the verb from that, but meaning was the same. But now arguing means quarrel and shouting on each other, and like McToon, for example. This is nowadays arguing. So
I think
nothing-
arguing something you do with the missus, where you end up shouting at each other. Everything gets heightened within a modern day argument, and the mind becomes clouded at that state, which is not a good state. It would never be allowed in the old days for an argument to get like that.
Agreed. Information stops flowing at that stage.
Mm-hmm. And it stops being a positive discussion, and it just turns into negativity. And that's what I don't want. That's what I don't want. I don't think we've ever had it, because I can't see the purpose in any of that sort of thing. In that arguing or heated discussion, it never gets you anywhere. But that's where I think they want to take it, because that's where they live, in that state of confusion and non-understanding and negativity.
I would submit that it's where they have to take it, because again, you're dealing with a certain group of people's deity. And I would also say on both sides, right? Once you have that model and you make it your deity, you become a religious zealot. And is it any wonder that they have the heated, distasteful, vile arguments, not formological arguments, right? Just heated crap that people hurl at each other, because that's what happens when you're talking about, Christians versus Jews versus Muslims versus Buddhists versus, Shintoists versus, you know
Mm.
agnostics versus, whatever. It doesn't matter. You get the same exact types of things happening. When you were talking about your son, I was remembering, before I found my faith, people telling me, if you don't teach your kids this, that, and the other thing, you're sending them to hell. You're condemning your children to hell
Yeah,
because you don't
that's.
believe the way I believe religiously. It's the same freaking argument.
Mm.
Sorry, we got to come up with a different term, a synonym for argument,
Yeah,
because here argument means something completely different.
yeah. Yeah, we need to take that, reclaim the argument into a discussion form, out of that heated quarrel. It's not even strong enough, is it? Just shouting at each other.
Yeah, it's
Losing control.
ridiculous. Totally, yeah. And it is just, I've said it, you said it, SE has said it, many people have said it. They have become religious zealots, and you tell them that, and they say, no, no, no. They quarrel with you even harder. No, how dare you say that I don't have a deity. It's not my deity. You're just stupid, or you're this, or you're that. Tell me more. As you argue between Christians and Jews or Muslims or whatever, it's the same thing. It's the same argument, same argument, same quarrel, same yelling, same screaming, same accusations, same vileness, same wishing ill upon another group of people or their children and their children and their spouses.
There you go. Spot on's come up with it again. Arguing without an argument. Because that's it. That's the point. You are literally thinking you're arguing, but you've lost control. You've lost control and you've lost sight of the argument. It's gone. And it's because, like you say, this science, blue marble science that they've got, bunny ears frantically, it's not real. It is their deity. It is their God. They've literally put all of their faith into that one thing, and they are on a crusade for that.
Absolutely. Maybe that's the term to use, as a crusade, because that's really what it is. And eventually it will, given long enough, right? It will turn to violence.
Oh, yeah.
Given enough time and enough close proximity to people, it will turn to violence, because these people are mad. And I don't mean mad as in angry. I mean crazy.
I've had Farmer's Boy. He's one of the ones that I'm sure he's got that much rage and stuff within him. He can't talk to people. He's not able to do it. He loses control. Well, he has already said that these people that they're talking about, these science deniers, the globe model, the blue marble science, frantic bunny ears, deniers, shouldn't be able to breed. He's put publicly on Twitter.
There you
just
go.
Recently. Yep. Yeah, I realise we've been over. We went over with Life is Short. We had a chat with him when we were in 24/7 when he was making those. They are the definitive videos for optics. I mean, it's already been done. These guys just push him out. Stop using it. It's what happens to anything. The people that we're talking about, They cannot see these things. That Life is Short's video would have to go in part of the great paralogism, right? It explains the great paralogism, so they can't look at it. They can't see it. They can't even look at the argument to start discussing it, because it ends their argument. It ends their understanding of their model. So they can't see it. And that'll be the same thing that happens to everything. They just get brushed aside. That's why we're in the middle of a conversation of a group of people that are obsessed about shape but cannot look at geometry. Well, geometry is literally the study of line and form. And they can't look at it because Euclidean geometry doesn't support the model that they have in their minds. It's literally what we use in reality every day. Everybody knows what a ruler looks like. It's straight. Well, that means it's Euclidean. Very, very simple. X, Y, Z. Everybody knows how those work. The X and the Y axis on the graph in mathematics. All the horizontal lines make a grid with the verticals being perpendicular. Everybody knows what a square looks like. Well, those things happen in reality, and they can't happen on the globe model. So you've literally got an exploded mind to be able to do that. And the people that have got these exploded minds are, well, they're upset at people who mention reality. And rather than just sort of turning off and looking away, they have to actively come against you and call you a liar. Literally libel you. Strange that the laws have changed for that sort of stuff, as they've had to. The contradictions that now exist in people's minds will end up turning them insane. And we're seeing it. So what we're going to do here is show people logic within the structure, but not to prove a flat earth or a globe earth. We don't do that. We'll just show people reality, but hopefully try and get you to understand your own mind. These proofs that we give within this formulation of logic, it are for everybody to get on their own. This is taking back your mind. It's been taken away from you. Depends whether people want to step away from TV, advertising, media.
You are kind of reminding me of, like, why did I come into this Discord server originally? And it's because of logic. And it became apparent that this arena is a self-sustaining false dichotomy situation where the only reason it's going on is because of these kinds of people you're talking about. And there is one specific thing which is fascinating to me specifically about this, is the arguments involved, and especially arguments that you've laid forth, where let's entertain the notion of the false dichotomy just for a second here, that you actually have an argument which would go to disprove FE in this case. And so in my mind, if I was part of this and taking the opposing view and then talking to you and being presented with that argument, to me that would be like, bam, okay, I can take this over to the flat earthers and show them like how wrong they are in this case, but proving them wrong, and just win and be done with it, right?
Yeah.
Problem solved. However, the same logic that goes to back that argument can be turned against their own model, in this case the Globers, which I think that's the point where it is proven what you're saying is that they cannot look at it. They have to look away. They have to like get triggered instead of actually looking at the argument. And it's all too common now that happens. That was a little eye-opening to me, that they will take a perfectly sound and valid argument, disproving their opponent's position. However, they will say no to it because that very same logic can be turned against their model too. And that's when that's when it's proven to me anyway that they have gone for the conclusion that they hold. That's their truth, their deity, right? That's their choice. And nothing, not even an argument proving their opponent's wrong, is going to enter into their minds because of the logic employed. I think that's fascinating.
Yeah, I think that very fact is why you hear people like Brenda and Rumpus and all of the others that defending the flat Earth. They switch to the flat Earth and start defending it because of that very fact that they need it to be a not argument.
Yeah, because they cannot continue this whole thing if it wasn't for the flat Earth, right? That's what's fueling their whole thing. And yeah, so they have to argue for their opponent's position. It's hilarious.
Yes. And I don't know what else we were going to go over today. But obviously this is meant to be model affliction, but tonight, like I said, I think I said last week, maybe a couple of weeks ago, because this is such a touchy situation now, the very fact that we call it model affliction is starting to creep into the word usage in this arena. And now model affliction is becoming part of that great paralogism. They can't even look at the word model affliction because they know that they're the ones that are afflicted by it. Everybody who hears the word and term model affliction, they know what it is. They've heard it because they're in an arena where it's something that consumes everybody's mind within this arena. There are rooms within Discord dedicated to talking about this very subject. They do it 24/7, never stops, and the arguments never change. They've been over the same argument for 6 or 7 years at least. Yes. Say arguments, they're not really arguments.
And even these arguments are so old, and now some people don't know that they are very, very old, and they are bringing them again as fresh.
Yeah.
So these boats going over horizon, and with binoculars we can see them again. So I think it was in 2016. This was one of the first arguments I've heard then. So compelling to me, of course. But this is old. This is really old. These arguments, I am waiting for another repetitions of arguments or evidences or whatever. So this is funny because history is just looping in that arena very fast.
Yeah, that optical one was the very first thing that we did with when we got the P1000 camera. Sat in a dinghy and watched a guy in a boat disappear away. Now, did the boat go behind the curve? No. What happened was the mirroring effect slowly creeped up into the air. Exactly the opposite of what they've been saying actually happens. So to me, there and then, that particular argument of things going over the curve was ended. I'd seen that wasn't the case. In the very stretch of water that was meant to have been proved, that's where it happened. That's where you could see it. Well, you can't see it. You could never see it. Nobody has ever seen any of that stuff. So
that's why they brought refraction, because I remember, for example, Rumpus from that 2016, because we were, for example, discussing this from, I think it was footage from Santa Barbara, seeing 3 islands over, I can't remember how long distance, but enough that it would be, it should be below this curvature horizon. And even Rumpus said that given that and these calculations, it would be troublesome for him that he because for first rebuttal of the globe side was that it is impossible. This footage is impossible. So the Globers were just denying footage or pictures.
Yeah. I mean, that was back in the day, right? Where
yes.
Before Black Swan, right? Or before somebody had brought in the idea of the logical Black Swan.
Yes,
right? Of which you only need to see one.
Yes, but still, Rumpus found it troublesome, and then they started to work upon refraction, because it was the only way to defend their position, because without refraction, this globe was already dead.
Yeah. So when you see this personally, I mean, that's where I think quite a few of us within here have an advantage is in order for you to work out a Black Swan scenario, you have to be able to hear somebody say that seeing something of a certain distance is impossible on a globe. Easy. All you do is you go and get a camera. Most of us have a camera. Well, as soon as you get a P1000, P900 and you aim it anywhere, your eyes are opened to what you can see. And normally, it doesn't take long for that Black Swan to sit in your mind, and you can realize it's impossible. You know, those people that say it's impossible for you to see that over there, and you go, well, I can see it. So that's not impossible, obviously.
Of course, but it means that the model is impossible.
Yeah.
Once. So
the person that's saying that shouldn't be saying that. It's a ridiculous statement.
Yes, that's why they knew that. So they invented this refraction, because it was the only way to defend the globe after that fact, because it's obvious that you can see what they call too far. So it means that you are not on the globe. Uh, but this refraction kills, of course, curvature, because you cannot use any more geometrical argument. So this is just, they are stuck now between geometry and refraction, and they are going nowhere.
Uh-huh.
So I don't know how far, what they need to invent more to defend this model, because refraction, of course, is not happening in that way. Because for me, bending light in one direction is impossible over surface, even water, because the conditions are changing along height, altitude, not along horizontal line so much. And this refraction should deviate up and down, not only in one direction, because it means that certain conditions should be at the same rate in the same direction from the observer's point to object. For example, along 5 kilometers, the air should be more and more and more dense, for example, to have this curvature, which is, of course, impossible. That's why I just don't understand why people are bothering with such that kind of refraction, which is impossible over surface at the given height. For example, if we are at the 6 feet above sea level, and we can see object also 6 feet above sea level, and the distance like I don't know, 5 miles. So we are talking about one nearly level distance. So at the same level or height or elevation, there would be similar conditions, not changing. If not changing, there would be no refraction. So for me, this argument is just so stupid, but I don't understand why people are using that kind of argument like refraction, which is impossible on whatever model. But that's me. Maybe I am mistaken, and maybe someone can point out that I am mistaken and where. But so far, I am keeping my opinion that this is completely bullshit theory about refraction, that kind of terrestrial refraction, that bending time over the surface of the Earth. It's just nonsense for me, complete.
Yeah, I've got them clipped saying that refraction can actually make you see your own arse out of a camera. If you have the right refraction, you should be able to see right around their model. That's literally what they've done in their mind. They've allowed themselves to have some sort of a concept that they can bend light to see their own backside.
Shout out Rumpus.
Yes, and not only bend, but in one direction, according to this globe, conveniently, of course. So this is, for me, impossible, because I can agree in speculation that there is refraction up and down, left and right, whatever, because conditions are changing, and but they are changing in both ways. In some area, the air is colder, in some area is warmer, and then again colder, so it would have to go up and down, zigzag like, not constant curvature downward. This is impossible, completely impossible.
Yeah, I've seen it. We've got a camera. The lad's got a camera. We've seen the footage of what happens when you look through a lot of air, and yeah, it's like wavy. It's all over the place. It's not in one direction at all. So, yeah, proven. Like I say, the moment you get one of these cameras and you see the footage for yourself, it's not good enough to just see it on a TV screen. You have to actually, I think you have to do this yourself. You have to physically see it and be in control of this yourself for you to comprehend what's going on. But when you do, it's a black swan idea, right? You only need to see it once for it to sink in. You can take loads of pictures from that point, but they're pictures. You know that what you're looking at isn't a real depiction of what is there. There's something else going on within the picture frame, or within the air, within the light that happens over that distance. You cannot measure anything, which is where the geometry part comes into it.
That's actually very funny, you bringing up the idea that you can see all the way around the model. It brings up a story. When I was a kid, we watched Jurassic Park. We must have been 6 or something, and one of the kids was scaring everybody else by saying that the T-Rex can look at an angle, as in he's standing outside the window, you're inside the house. If you hide underneath the window, under a table, he can look inside the house, and then his vision changes angles to where he can still see you under the table. Like at the moment we were young and stupid, we were getting scared, of course, but as you grow up, realize you cannot see at an angle like that. It's ridiculous. It just reminded me.
Yeah.
Yes, one simple fact, and you know that this is garbage.
Yep.
Yeah, because the curved mirror, like Paige is pointing out there, the funhouse mirror, doesn't allow you to do that sort of thing. It just distorts the image.
Yes, so if we on this image we can see that it is undistorted, and it means that it has to be flat, really flat, like plane, like mirror in your bathroom, because it has to be very smooth and planar, because otherwise you would see your face distorted in the mirror immediately. It has to be very accurate to make a mirror to your bathroom. And if we can have this picture in reality, which is like mirror in your bathroom, it means that it cannot be curved surface, because it would be immediately be distorted. So, so for example, for me, that kind of picture is, for me, it is self-evident that it cannot be a globe. But of course, some people will argue with refraction or whatever.
Well, it depends on your mind model of the globe as well, really, doesn't it?
Maybe, but for me, pictures like that are showing that this is impossible. This water cannot be curved, because it couldn't produce that kind of mirror, never curved surface.
Yeah, I'd have to go along with that too. But again, I don't know what the light is, the big light.
And by the way, part of this image would be invisible because of curvature, because if it would be cylindric like a curvature, so the bottom part of this mountain or whatever it is, it would be invisible because it will be tilted out from you. You couldn't see that.
Yeah, bro. I do have my own ideas on the optics and what happens, but like somebody said earlier, Life is Short has gone over this stuff, and he does explain it very well of how the optics works and how light works and all of that. So I don't know whether Life is Short's still around. It would probably be good if he wants to come back and go over that sort of stuff, because I know there's a lot of people that probably would benefit from it. They've probably not seen it. We're going to be looking at that sort of stuff. But I personally like to keep away from the optics. But say my son is the photographer now, and he should really be studying this sort of stuff, how light reacts and how it behaves, and has the understanding of the long distance stuff. And we've got the Fata Morganas, which I don't know whether Life is Short ever got involved with seeing these sort of phenomena. Whether that might affect some of his ideas about how these banding works, so I don't know. It would be good to talk to him about that. When I came into it was about the sort of time where Life is Short was wrapping up his study. I think he spent like a year on one particular topic, optics and light. So if you want to come and have a chat, if you're out there.
I wanted to ask Paper, if I heard you correct earlier. You asked a question, or maybe you just said you're wondering what the next thing they're gonna have to make up. I think I can predict something which has already been done, but it's not necessarily been very prominent so far. And it's about geometry. If you're holding up geometry and refraction as the two things they're stuck between, obviously geometry is going to be there the way they want to go, because they know that's where the proofs are. I see two directions being played there. One is the ridiculous one where they just say, not that geometry. That's, I don't think it's worth even mentioning, but just to, yeah. The other one, though, is the one that the guy who was in here yesterday brought up and spent a whole lot of time talking about. And it's within calculus, and it's about angles to curves. And I think that is, because this was a young guy, right? I think that's going to become more prominent of a conversation going forward. I think because he's not the only one, but the fact that it was and has been not only from him, but it's been argued rigorously many times, and every time who has brought it has also claimed that they have proven it. Yeah, I think that's where the next sort of push for the, the argument side, in quotes, argument, of course.
You mean geoid, this straight line, which is not exactly straight line, but it is still not going well with refraction, because if the straight line is refracted, there is no straight line. But if the bent line is refracted, it may be straight line visible, because in their model defense, this refraction, this terrestrial refraction, means that we can see in straight line, but these lines are bendy anyway. So it is just inversion, upside down, geometry upside down, because all curvature is straight if it fits this refraction, and all straight has to be curved. In that case, you cannot have other outcome. If the line is geometrically straight, you will see curve. This is a conclusion from the refraction model. So for me, this is just garbage nonsense, but they are holding this position. They have to.
That's Blue Marble Science's elevation profiles you're talking about,
Yes,
right?
yes.
Yeah. No, but was a different argument yesterday, which is...
I don't think it is different. I think it's pretty much the same
It
one,
means-
really.
It is this different way, but conclusion is the same.
No, what
So-
they're trying to do, Paper, you weren't here yesterday, is they're trying to use calculus and some sort of mathematical break where they take everything and put it on a graph. But they're trying to say that because you have a point on a graph, you can derive an angle to a curve at that point. And this is similar, because what they require is an angle to a curve, or particularly a perpendicular to a curve at a point. Everybody knows what that means within this arena.
Yes, so mission impossible.
Yeah.
Because there is no perpendicularity in intersection point. Because
But they're trying to do it through calculus, right? They're trying to literally do sophisticated calculus, really, to fool people into thinking that you can add a geometric element to calculus and derive an angle to a curve.
Yeah, the problem I see there is the calculation isn't necessarily wrong in any sense. It's just the conclusion that here is now an angle between a straight line and a curved line. That's the conclusion at the end from this guy. He stated it blatantly, even though what he actually did in the coordinate system was draw a right angle isosceles triangle and point directly at the angle between the horizontal and the slope at 45 degrees, and specifically at which point of the two vertices that this angle exists at that he's talking about. He specifically found a specific angle, yet he just concluded that this is somehow an angle between a straight line and a curve when it's obviously talking about a triangle. So yeah, it was very interesting to listen to.
So they are pushing this. They have to, I think, because there is no other way to fool people anymore. But they have to convince people that the curve is straight. So, what Rumpus said
Yeah,
last
you're
time,
right.
and not only last time, because I think it is this is undefendable position, of course, but they have no other option, I think. They have to convince people that a straight line is curved and vice versa. So I don't know. For me, this is just so stupid that it's not worth mentioning. But maybe some people will be fooled by that. I don't know.
Yeah, I did some searching around and looked into this a little in terms of what other people are saying about this, and this guy is definitely not the only one who has reached the conclusion of it being possible to have an angle between a straight line and a curved line. But you're also very correct, because this guy from yesterday also blatantly stated that at any point along the circumference of a circle, the tangent line and the circumference of the circle is indistinguishable from each other. They are effectively the same at the tangent point, which, I mean, you all know how that goes, but effectively meaning that along the entire circumference, right, the straight line and the curved line is the same, materially equivalent, right? That's blatantly stated yesterday, and I think because this is calculus that's being invoked, calculus being an actual thing that's established as a subject in education and such, I think they will have to bring the argument, the geometric argument, which is not an argument. They will have to bring the conversation over to calculus, I think, and I'm just predicting it from experience in this Discord server.
He'll have to take it calculus away from that graph, though.
This guy,
Yeah.
Yeah.
was he maybe Emerald again?
Was
Because
a different guy.
different, okay. Because
Jahomey Don. It could be the same.
because we had this discussion with Ruhif and Emerald
And
before
Rumpus.
about calculus and
Yeah.
this not very much straight line. And he was showing us two intersecting lines which were similar to straight, but of course in calculus they were not. For me, the proof of being straight is within geometrical principles itself, because a tangent line cannot be effectively or not effectively. This word effectively is just nonsense. There is no effective or no effective things in geometry. They are or they are not. If this straight line is straight because the points are lying evenly. And when points are not lying evenly, this is not straight line, and this is simple. So it is not about effectiveness. So using that language in geometry just is, for me, this is deception, because evenly or not evenly, that's a geometric difference between lines, not effectiveness. What does it mean, effectiveness in geometry? What it is? For me, this is just nonsense.
I would agree with you, yeah.
And by the way, calculus is calculating, so it has to be difference in calculations between these two lines, obviously, in numbers. I don't think that this guy would say that even if he said that these lines, this tangent line to a curve is effectively the same or similar or whatever, I would say that he will never admit that numbers are matching each other. They cannot. So if he can bring, for example, numbers, same numbers for different lines, that they are exactly the same, then he would prove that the curved line is straight. But I think it is impossible in this calculus.
Of course. Because the foundation of the calculus is the x and the y graph, which is horizontal and vertical with the perpendicular relationship, and the center of the circle is right at that intersection point of those two. You cannot get away from that fact with calculus. So, yeah, you're right.
Are you sure though? Because Blue Marble has had an attempt at making a circle straight. He's even put an arrow to it. It says C ? Straight !
See that very sentence with the C ? Straight with the arrow? Yeah, that's correct, because that is literally a straight line there he's pointing to. However, he says at the top of the same painting that circles are straight.
Yeah,
That's
he's
ultimate
labelled the
contradiction.
circle blue and the straight line blue. You can see they're the same thing, obviously.
Both blue.
Ridiculous.
Yeah, this is very ridiculous. Yeah, this guy yesterday was doing a better job than Blue. That's what you get for, being youthful and vigorous and being on top of your stuff, right? The energy you bring. Yeah, I'm just talking to Blue, right? That this young lad one-upped you, Blue. You better step up your game.
Yeah. Imaginometry, when you end up disproving your other friends, and like you've disproved the circle. Like, how that's ridiculous, but that's where they have to go to. Of course, he can't defend any of this stupid stuff. Straight lines being circles, circles being straight lines. Karma was a MacToon sock account. A bit wishful thinking. MacToon's a big man within this arena. He'd come with his own account, surely. He wouldn't do that sort of thing. It's MacToon you're talking about. An upstanding member of the Globe fanatic community. Well, a member of the Globe fanatic community, let's say about that. He's probably got about 50 sock accounts, to be honest. They need to bump the numbers up. Make it look like there's loads of them, but there isn't. It's tiny. Very few. I'll show you on Friday how many there is. So, Model Affliction Monday. We did say that there won't be any model afflicted people. There's not even any flat earthers coming because they know they're also model afflicted. So this day will be changing next week. Just to let everybody know this week what we're doing, or what I'm personally going to be doing, is that the guys that are Globe fanatics, they've pushed me into a position, quite a few of them, into attacking my son and his photography, which is out of order, really. So, game on. I think we've learned enough now to point out many flaws within the model. If anybody knows of any other flaws, come round and have a discussion with us, and we'll formulate it into some sort of an argument, and we'll see where it develops from there. But I'm hoping to get many arguments together that go to make it clear to everybody that the globe model, as the globe model fanatics have in their minds, is a completely contradictory model. It contradicts itself, which makes it an impossible model. And since we are dealing with logic, and logic's purpose is to root out the fallacies around and the inconsistencies and illogic, to point that out, that's what we're going to be doing. I'll show everybody some of the basic stuff on Friday when I go and see Red's Rhetoric, when he wants to see my arguments over on the Non Sequitur show. I'll only go with the most basic ones, so hopefully everybody can understand them. Even the most severely model afflicted people, and the ones that are unaware of what sort of what an argument actually is. I'll try and make that clear as well.
I got an argument, bro.
Go on.
Okay, if the surface of the Earth is if the surface of the Earth is a two-dimensional sphere, then we cannot draw a straight level line. I mean, we cannot draw a straight line on a level portion of Earth. We can draw a level line, a straight level line on the surface of Earth. Therefore, the Earth is not a two-dimensional surface of a sphere. Help me out. I have something in my head, and every time I go to say it, dude, it jumbles up, man. But I feel like there's something there. Trying to pin it down.
Well, you're starting off with a two-dimensional surface of a sphere, which is incomprehensible, really.
Yeah, I should formulate it like if. Yeah,
I'd hit it geometry by saying if two-dimensional is a geometric plane, then two-dimensional cannot be the surface of a sphere.
Yeah, there you go. I was trying to think
is
of a
it
way.
modus tenendo tollens or modus ponendo tollens? I think I already have that done. I think.
But on a difference, I mean, well, on the same general subject, but of model affliction. But y'all were discussing refraction earlier. I went and I seen a video of Mick West doing sugar water, laser in the sugar water with the little fish tank, and everything about it. I mean, I didn't see nothing that helped his cause. It literally shows compression. If the atmosphere is acting anything like what's going on in that fish tank, there's a rim around the bottom of it that's about an inch high, and in the bottom of it, he put a piece of sheet metal or curving to represent the surface of their globe, but it's under the lip. So he goes to drop the camera down, and to show like the laser curving around it. But about later, he goes to drop the camera down just to see what everything. He puts the picture. All right, give me a minute. I'm gonna get a better connection.
Mick West, that wasn't that a few years ago. That.
Yeah, it was, but I've never really analyzed it. So when I analyzed it, I seen he's got a picture of Toronto on the back of the aquarium, and then he puts 5 pounds of sugar in a fish tank, and lets it sit overnight, he claims. There's so much deception in this one video that I didn't really know where to start. But just the obvious, when he goes to lower the camera, the whole city and the picture squishes, but he never loses sight of the bottom. So the bottom of the buildings are always in line of sight. So he's basically demonstrating sinking. I think he's demonstrating sinking over a flat plane because the ramp at the bottom that's curving is lower than the rim. So it's I don't even know why you put it in there. The rim is what basically limits the viewing, and there's a rim all the way around it. So when he lowers the camera, the only time you lose the building or the light he puts at the bottom is when you lose line of sight. So the whole thing proves that even if the atmosphere works the way they say it does and light bends the way they say it does, it just proves that there's a level plane because the tops of the buildings start shrinking down toward the bottom. They compress right in front of our eyes. Let me see if I can find it.
There
The
you go.
problem, though, is the problem with that one is that all you need is to go outside with a laser to prove that doesn't actually behave that way in reality in the atmosphere. So I'm not sure the premise of this test you're talking about is relevant at all.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. I definitely don't argue that, but this is their number one demonstration. This is the only thing they have to act like it's science, and that's their go-to, and their go-to is literally proving
If
my side of the argument. So
your go-to's Mick West, then you're lacking badly.
I'm talking about their go-to argument with refraction when we show pictures like the black swan, any black swan type of photograph where the horizon just kind of fades off into infinity. They go to the laser and sugar water, but that laser and sugar water observation does not do them any justice. That's the point I was trying to get at anyway.
I've got that thing. It's a modus ponendo tollens of the form not both A and B. Then you state A, and then you can say, therefore, not B. So I said, for example, both a circle and a sphere cannot be 2D. A circle is a two-dimensional figure, therefore a sphere cannot be a two-dimensional figure.
They're just going to start pointing to the surface. I mean, no matter what I say, they just say the surface.
Yeah,
just because you
they
can go
say
left
some
and right,
really
they try
stupid shit. We had Dahomey Don in here yesterday for at least 3 hours on this particular subject, of which he ended up admitting that everything in reality is 3D, yet the surface of it is 2D. A completely contradictory statement.
Yeah, I got Ruhif. I think it was Ruhif the other day in Earth Awakening's Discord to admit that the celestial sphere is two-dimensional.
Yeah, it's because the geometric argument makes them say that. Yeah, they need it because they need to be 2D earthers.
Euclid explicitly says that when he is talking about solid objects, that they are covered or encompassed by surfaces, planes. He's talking about planes. And if we have sphere, and of course on the sphere we have on the surface of the sphere we have infinite numbers of points, and every 3 points we can pick which are the closest to each other. They are creating triangle always, because two points, the closest points, are creating straight line. So if you have if we have three that pairs, which one of them of course is a shared point, we have triangle, the smallest, infinitely small triangle. So the sphere it can be described as infinite numbers of triangles, but each triangle is on different plane. Every single one of these infinite numbers, it is obvious. I will say this with certitude, that every triangle on the sphere created by these points are on different plane. I think this is obvious, for me at least. It means
Yeah, it's infinitesimal derivations that are not parallel. Just thinking about that gives me a headache.
yes. So it means that, but they are triangles, real triangles. It means connected with straight lines, real straight lines. So it has to be, because the closest 2 points in space are creating straight line, because 2 points closest to each other, they have to create straight line, because they are lying evenly. You cannot have 2 points, closest points, possible closest points, to be uneven. They have to be even. It means that this triangle created by these points is normal Euclidean triangle, creating normal plane, infinitely small plane. And each of these triangles is on different plane. It means that the surface of the sphere can be described as infinite number of triangles, normal flat plane triangles. Simple. It means that the whole sphere cannot be 2D, because each of these triangles, each of these
No,
triangles,
I didn't say nothing.
yes, I think that for me this is obvious, and there is no argument, because as Euclid says that the solid body is encompassed by surfaces or planes. He's talking about planes, so it fits also a sphere.
I see. I
Think
think
about
that solid sphere, like is. Oh, I think the solid sphere in Euclid, book 11. Oh, that's
You are breaking.
That's terrible. Yeah, I think the solid sphere is the idea of the circle in book 1. It's only used as a means to transport those points evenly around a center point within construction, and the sphere within book 11 is just there to show you that you can use the principles that you had with a circle, but within the 3-dimensional part that you're doing. Like, it's just directly translatable for those radius distances, like you say, for making triangles and using the points at an equal distance. The geometric principle of how all of these lines have been derived at the beginning, and the construction of the triangles and the bits that can be used within the spherical form just as easily as it was within the circular form. Because there is no sphere in book 11, is there, other than within the definition. Like within book 1, they did define the circle, but there is no circle. It's all about straight lines and polygons, isn't it?
Yes,
one.
and the same, even worse, is in book 11 because he is just describing how the sphere is created by rotating semicircle. So, and this is not real definition because it doesn't say what it is. It only says how it is created.
It's how you use it within the geometric understanding, right? Because I think it's an impossible shape, really, within the geometric form, within the books of Euclid.
Like a curved line is not defined,
Yeah.
so that's why he cannot define the sphere, because this is not definition that. And by the way, he is talking about when he is describing that solid object surface is that has length and breadth only. So the surface, every surface, but this is not definition of solid body, because when he is talking about specific bodies, he's talking about surfaces, planes, exactly planes. He's talking about planes. So it is still a sphere. It is not defined really, because it cannot be. It cannot be.
Yeah.
Like curved line cannot be defined, but straight line can be, and it is. What he could define, he did, but what he couldn't, he didn't.
Yeah, he just showed you how to use it, or how he was going to use it to make the constructions of the straight lines.
Yes, or just how it is created. It is because we moved a semicircle around diameter, and that's how we create. So he's talking about creation of the sphere, not definition. Creation, it is not definition. Definition is talking about what it is, and not what causes to be something. Causation is not a definition, but this is the only way how he could describe a sphere. So this is a posteriori definition from creating it. Let's see what happened when we rotate the semicircle. Oh, we have a sphere. Okay, so that's why this is a sphere, but this is not really definition.
You run into a problem also if you want to try and make a specific definition of a curved line to say what it is, because of how, there can be an infinite number of different kinds of curved lines curving in different directions, changing its direction. You can't really say something very tangible about curve as in and of itself, other than saying it's not straight.
Yes, that's why this translator and other geometers, they are referring curved line to a genus, not to a species. We can and we do refer straight line to species. So it means it is specific, and real definition is specific. It refers to species, and this curved line is just a genus, something, just a line. Because you cannot, as you said, we cannot say what like, because we can have many different curves. So saying that the line is lies between extremities, for example, curved line, we don't know what kind of curve we are talking about. But if we are talking about points lying evenly, we exactly know what he was talking about.
Yep. And the very, very first proposition, even in book 1, I think this is just to back up what Bev was saying earlier about the radius distance from the center of the circle to the circumference. Also the center of the sphere to the surface. That radius distance, it's to move those points around to find, you know, a vertex or whatever it is you're looking for, because as it's proven in proposition 1, book 1, it's that all radius distances within the same circle, and by extrapolation the sphere as well, are all equal to each other, and that is the principle you're working with. That's why the circle and the sphere are used as the tool for, you know, moving these points around, because you know that this radius is going to be that very specific length every time within this specific sphere or circle. I think that's very important not to just forget to mention.
Yes, yes, and that this is the way, exactly the way how Aristotle described the sphere. So this is Aristotle's definition of the sphere, because he is using this distance from center point with radius equidistant to every point on the surface. So this is Aristotle's definition.
This
I
is
did
why
not
I
know
think
that. That's cool.
the semicircle as well, if you look in that, which is the modus ponens and modus tollens, one of the modus tollens example that they use is if an angle is inscribed in a semicircle, then it is a right angle. This angle is not a right angle, therefore this angle is not inscribed in a semicircle. I think that's why they use the semicircle. That's why Euclid used the semicircle. Because like you said, it's all about triangles. And the triangle and the right angle is best described by a semicircle. And that's why they use the semicircle in order to construct the sphere within book 11. Purposely, because they can use the relationship of this right angle within that semicircle directly. That's it. It's a use purpose why Euclid did such a thing, because the semicircle is useful, the sphere is not. And it's that part that is used, yeah.
Yes, I agree. So this is the same case is with curved line and angle to curved line, because it is no use, because we cannot establish an angle, because at every different point on the curve, this angle is different. So we are not talking about an angle, but we are talking about infinite numbers of angles to a curve. So this is just useless. And geometers in ancient times were, and not only in ancient times, were aware of this. That's why they never use that kind of angle, because this is useless in geometry, completely useless.
It does say on the bottom of that as well, it says, the rule of modus ponens is incorporated into virtually every formal system of logic. Virtually. They've made up fancy logic that
Every
allows
formal
for contradictions.
system.
Yeah.
I had to put it very specific there, because they know.
Yeah, not reality logic. Like it does apply to every system of logic. But now formally, but if you allow that virtually every system of formal logic into your mind, and you will let it afflict you to the point that your logical system gets infected by this, then
But this statement is not correct, because it is not how it is incorporated. It is because you are checking your premise, for example. So it is reality check. This is not. It is going beyond formal logic. It is going into material logic.
yeah, that's why they have to say formal.
Yes, because but this is not true.
Yes,
this is not true. In fact, we are if we are checking our premise, we are checking in reality. So we are making some kind of experiment, or check, or observation, or whatever, or even calculation. But we are doing something to prove or disprove our premise, or consequence, whatever. But this is not only formal. This is kind of material logic. We are doing something. So this last sentence is, for me, it is not true.
I would agree that it's definitely very ambiguous and misleading at the least, right? Because
yes,
when it comes to modus ponens, you have if A, then B. Yeah, A, therefore B. So, like, you can't get around that as basic logic. But when it says virtually every formal system, then you can potentially, not saying this is ever going to happen, right? You can potentially run into someone who doesn't necessarily like the fact that you can use modus ponens to prove something, and they can make up their own idea of formal system of logic that does not incorporate this. You know, not saying that's ever been done, right?
Well, we know it has. It's paraconsistent logic. That is
Yes.
the virtually bit is a paraconsistent logic, which isn't a real logic. It's been made up to allow people to have contradictions.
And I would state on top of that, it's the way that this logic, paraconsistent logic, which is not actually logic, the way that it's been constructed is literally by going against the basic so-called laws of thought.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the premise of the paraconsistent logic in the first place. It's a whopper.
Yeah. Yeah, it all becomes clear when you begin to see the games that have been played. And you literally get to see those games being played firsthand, real time, whenever you come into this Discord server and the sophists come into play. They are literally doing this stuff live, making up shit just to deny whatever it is you're saying. And it doesn't matter if you're saying a literal proof, they will go against it real time. It's amazing to listen to.
And that's how you get statements like you cannot prove anything in reality, right? You've heard that statement however many times. And it goes right back to this very thing, that they will exclude modus ponens and other things too from their system of so-called logic. That very statement, that nothing can be proven, directly relates to this.
Yeah, they make a new system of logic that says you cannot prove anything.
Which the
Which
whole point
completely
of actual
undermines
logic. Yes, because like Paper stated so eloquently the other night, how the whole point of logic is to reduce or to arrive at a, what did you call it, Paper? True
True
dichotomy.
yes.
Yes, in order to show either or, as in prove, actually prove something. So yeah, it's very counter to the idea of logic in the first place, yes.
They are using true dichotomy to disprove, for example, logic. this is just funny thing.
It's backwards, isn't it? It's the stolen concept. It's never ending. The ridiculous places that these modern day sophists will go to. And it can be annoying, it can be infuriating. This is where we practice the calm, the staying calm while people say stupid shit. Not bothering about people saying stupid shit. Accepting that people say stupid shit. We're getting good at it. So if you feel like you want to train on how to present an argument, then this Discord server is going to be the place to be, because we're going to be hitting trivium, logic, and argumentation, dialectic. Is that right, Paper? Dialectics. That's what it is, isn't it? Just a discussion amongst people.
Dialectic means just two positions. So, for example, if we have a dilemma, it means that argumentation which is going two ways, then we can even within speculation for ourselves, we can go two ways to check which way is better. So this is this dialogue or dialectics. It means that we can make dialogue with ourselves when we have dilemma, for example. So we can check both argumentations, and dialectics means also that we can predict opponent's argumentation, and this is just art of discussion to predict where opponent is going with his whole argumentation, not only one point but many points in progress. So this is also part of dialectic thinking, because we can disprove, but dialectic means also that disproofs are not so hard, because within dialectics we have problems with
Brian, I think you're feeding through there.
Trying
That's
to
not
say
good.
something. But in dialectic,
Sorry about that.
No, that's not good.
Not working very well.
Go ahead, Paper, please.
But in dialectic, we have also weak proofs, because arguing with proofs and going with dilemmas is different than in logic, strict logic, because as I said before, logic proof, like in science, is apodictive proof. It is demonstration, undeniable, demonstration, but in dialectics we can have probable proofs, and this is the way of discussing probable proofs, which are not certain, which is not really the case inside, for example, geometry, because you cannot argue by using probable proofs within geometry. How can you, for example, argue against a straight line with probable proofs? Of course, you cannot, but in fact, these calculus proponents are trying to use dialectic proof. It means by probability that could overcome logic proof, which inside logic it is impossible, because logic proof, apodictive proof, is always the strongest. We don't have a more strong argument than logic proof.
Deductive logic.
Inductive also, but I mean logic. It has to be logic proof is proof that something has to be, or it is impossible. This is logic proof. But if we are talking about something may happen or may not happen, we are segueing into dialectic, because we are trying to say this is more probable and that is less probable, and these are dialectic proofs. We are estimating, for example, what is more probable in reality. But this kind of proof is not considered as scientific proof in science, any kind of science, like physics, for example. It is, that's why back in the day, quantum physics was not present, because physicists and scientists knew that they need apodictive demonstration, logic proof only to prove something in physics. But now we are using probable proofs, and for me this is just fall of the science, because in fact by probability you cannot prove anything.
And the fact that Proposition 6, Book 1 of Euclid, uses the reductio ad absurdum argument to prove, you know, your false hypothesis or false premise absurd in the end, goes to show that what you're saying is spot on. You know, you couldn't do that with dialectics, as far as I understood what you just said.
Yes, because you can undermine this absurdity, because you can say that this is just not very much possible, but still it is possible in some way, maybe. But in logic and in geometry and mathematics, it is impossible, because if you have a true dichotomy, it means that it has to be, or it is impossible. Not it may or not may. This is not true dichotomy. True dichotomy in logic is it has to be, or it is impossible. No possibilities. We are not estimating possibilities in logic, the strict logic, this apodictive logic. But in dialectics, yes, we are dealing with probabilities. But these kinds of argumentations are in fact invalid in logic. In logic, yes, in science, as Aristotle's concerned logic. So that's why logic proof is not strictly dialectic proof. It belongs somehow to logic, but this is the cause why Aristotle put logic in trivium and not dialectics, because lawyers were trained instead of logic in dialectics. So trivium for a lawyer in ancient times was grammar, dialectics, and rhetoric. And Aristotle opposed that. And he used logic, not dialectics, because he knew that in science, and he was dealing with science, dialectics is useless, because you have to know, you have to gain certain knowledge, not probable knowledge, certain. You have to know for, it has to be carved in stone, your conclusion, not just probable conclusion. It is probable that it will happen. This is not proof for Aristotle in logic proof.
This is why I love geometry so much. It's what you said earlier. Either these two triangles are the same size or they are not. Either
Yes.
those two angles are equal or they're not equal.
Yes, and it means that if they are not equal, it means also it is impossible for being otherwise. Not only that, okay, they are not equal, but maybe in some cases they can be equal. No, if they are equal, it is impossible that they are unequal, and vice versa. So this is a real true dichotomy in logic thinking. On one side, you have things which has to happen, which has to be, and on other side you have things that are impossible. This is a true dichotomy in logic thinking. Aristotle's, let's say, systematics for logic proof.
That's interesting.
Yes, inductive logic. Yes, it is. It is in many cases. It is not demonstrative proof, because sometimes it is possible that some things will not may happen, because we are trying to utilize some principle in practice. So the inductive logic means that we are checking if we can apply some principle, for example, in reality. So we are checking if the cause is working. That's why this is the way of experiment. And it may not happen for some reasons. So this is, but we can repeat, for example, experiment. And if something is repeatable and it always happens, we can consider it as strong as deductive proof. So, yes.
Well, that's why we use geometry within the proof system, because that does give you deductive.
Yes,
so
yes.
the closer you can get to the geometric within a scientific form, the closer you can get to that deductive logic. If you can use the principles of geometry within your logical reasoning to make your argument and make it like that, you can literally make an argument deductive with a definite proof.
Yes, and that's why, for example, proofs, Euclidean proofs, can be considered as axioms, because if something is proven from axioms or from principles of reasoning, it also can be considered as axiom, because there is no way that this proof can be disproved. So these conclusions from, for example, from Euclid's proofs are as same solid as same solid as axioms. So they cannot be changed. And they were not, of course, for 2,000 years, and people cannot change it. Even Rumpus or Brenda. No way, no way.
Yeah, it doesn't matter how model afflicted anyone is, they cannot be touched.
They cannot be touched because they are linked to principles of reasoning. So in progression of proving, they are very solid. You cannot disprove any step of these definitions or proofs or theorems in Euclid. They cannot be disproved. It is impossible to disprove them. That's why they are changing definitions, because this is the only way to, let's say, quote, unquote, invalidate Euclid. But changing definitions means that we are changing the subject. If we are changing the definition of straight line, we are not talking about this straight line, what was that Euclid was talking about. We are talking about something else. But if some people thinks that this new straight line is the same as Euclid described, they are wrong. But this is just part of deception. But it doesn't mean that straight line can be redefined in something else. It is impossible. And same level. If level is straight, it cannot be curved. So if they are changing definition into curved, they have to say that level is not straight. That level cannot be straight. But they are not saying that. They are trying to hold both positions, which is, of course, impossible. Or maybe some people are insane, but still it is impossible.
Yeah, modus, what was it you called it earlier? Modus ponendo tollens.
Yeah,
Not A and B. A therefore not B.
Yes. And it means, and it violates also principle that of equality, because if we are predicating about level that is straight, then and we are predicating about level that is curved, so this is we could use that as a statement. If level is straight, therefore level is curved. For example, you can create that kind of statement. And of course, this is absurd. So kind of reductio ad absurdum. So very easily to create, because we can set up causation. Even in tautology, we can say that a man is a man because he is a man. This is not very relevant, but still this statement is true. But if we can say that if the straight level is straight because it is curved, we have absurd, because we can use causation in logic to prove or disprove things like reductio ad absurdum. So what I said, if the level is straight, therefore a level is curved. Or we can say, which is of course absurd, and we can say because level is straight, that's why the level is curved. So another absurd. So it is very easy way to create this reduction into absurd in contradictory definitions if we are using causation. This is the way how Aristotle used logic mostly, because for him causation is the best way to obtain knowledge, because he said that he was saying always that if we know the cause of the things, we have real knowledge. This is the best knowledge. So we can use causation to prove or disprove something. And that's why, for example, modern logicians like Bebe and I think Starkadder, or whoever was in Discord chat, so they are avoiding causation. This is very bad thing. They are just avoiding. They have allergic reaction to causation.
I was thinking about what you said when you're using the word absurd, how I've heard claims made that you can't just say it's absurd, you have to show why. And the why comes down to the law of non-contradiction. When you say the straight level is curved, it's a blatant contradiction, which if you don't see that, then you have the law of identity, which straight is straight, curved is curved. They are not equal, as you said, the principle of equality here, the law of identity. So both of those two, the law of non-contradiction and the law of identity, is violated in that case, and that's why it's absurd.
Yes, and this is the way of making this reduction into absurd, because to put two contradictory predicaments or predications together. So the level is straight and it is curved, or because the level is straight, this would be causation, because level is straight, therefore it has to be curved, for example. So we have two different predications, and the other is going against the first. For example, if in causation we have to use the same predication. If the level is straight, therefore it is straight. This is tautology, so maybe even funny, but still true. We can say that the cause of being straight is straight. Not relevant, but still true. But if we say that the cause of being straight is being curved, it sounds more absurd for a listener. So that's why I think using causation and reduction into absurd is better, sounds better. It's more funny.
It's more absurd, yeah.
Yes, so people will laugh.
Yeah, I feel you on that. Because you can say, like you said, you can say that the level is straight and that level is curved. Two different statements next to each other. Which, yeah, of course, it's a contradiction. However, when you put it like you did, if level is straight, or because level is straight, therefore it is curved. Yeah, that's way more absurd and a lot funnier to listen to.
Yes, so this is the way how logic proving and disproving works in many writings. I read people using that. So this is normal, and in discussion, of course, it is very plausible to use that. So it may make a discussion more vivid and funny.
I like it.
I see McToon's got his argument together. The man is just a horrible person, and let everybody know that this is the guy that's supporting the globe model. This is how he chooses to support the globe model, with zero argument.
So another character obsessed with you, or maybe he is on the script.
Yeah. I don't know what they've got planned that they think that they can get somebody's child to despise the parents. But it's crazy. And I don't know, so is somebody saying it? Does he actually have it? Does he have children himself? I hope not. Because that's disgusting if he does have children himself. I doubt it.
Yes, I doubt also. But
Could it be a projection?
Maybe if he's doing.
Yeah, you see what I mean?
Yeah, of his childhood.
Well, maybe yes, but
maybe his parents said that level was horizontal, and he now despises his parents for saying that to him.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how that's how it works in the mind of a glober. You have to go against your parents, I think. That's what he's sort of saying to me anyway. Sort of like a cry for help. Yeah, Utes got it right. Yeah. I think it is this model affliction. They know it as well. That, they just have to go against these basic, simple concepts. But he should be able to do it within a debate format. He's supposedly, this is MacToon that we're talking about here, the guy with the website and all of the only resources for triangles having more than 180 degrees. The source of level being curved. All of the literature as claimed within these arenas all comes from this man. This vile, horrible person. In his globe defense. And that's what we have been doing, watching these people and watching the sort of the place that our children have to be brought up in, and the way that this social media thing is gathering momentum. At least, I mean, within this arena that we're in, this isn't an uncommon thing, but I mean, it goes beyond this arena. It goes to way more other places. This model that people build around their own imagination can lead to them discriminating against others that don't have that model, whatever that model may be. And it's becoming more and more visible more and more apparent that this way of thinking, which sort of is being led by other people, McToon, in his not knowledge of it, is actually becoming the person that's leading these other people. He's becoming the high priest, the one that's dictating what all of the others should do. And there's not many, but they are horrible people. They don't half say some really weird stuff. Balanced Truth says McToon is Brenda. No moustache. I would say that. They do sound very similar. And every time Brenda gets upset, and then McToon goes on Twitter and starts doing this sort of stuff. So, I mean, there may be a link. Maybe twins or something. Maybe an alter ego. Who knows? There's definitely a connection there. And that's what we're here to find out. I don't think people are meant to be in this arena and have so much criticism from both sides of this arena and stick within this arena. But we're sort of studying it and using these people to progress our knowledge forwards. And yeah, it's very, very negative. The way they interact. It's getting fewer and fewer. They're not as brave as they used to be. And the ones that are able to do this sort of thing are getting fewer and fewer. The ones at the top of this are coming to the forefront. And we're being able to see who these people are that are leading it. There's still a few that hide away in chat. They don't ever come out and vocalize themselves, but they will do very soon. They'll have to. They can't stay hidden for that long. Chris Berry, you do realise a plane is a two-dimensional figure. Well, a two-dimensional. Just two-dimensional. So it can't be. You've got a really weird concept of Big E. Nice try, though. Interesting. So, these Model Affliction Mondays will change. We will have to find a way to benefit from some argument in the future. We'll have to, maybe we'll plan a week ahead or something and look back on some particular arguments that have been made about particular points, let's say, some contradictions that are found within the model. How about that? That sounds better, doesn't it? If we aim to expose a contradiction within the model of the Monday, then that will hopefully show that the model has the contradictions. Not reality. There are no contradictions in reality. There's only once you inject the model, that's where contradictions start to occur. And I think Model Affliction Monday will be in the future us trying to expose those contradictions that we see. The contradiction of the model against reality. What do we say? Contradictions in reality don't exist. Only once you inject the model. And we will highlight those facts thanks to this group of people that want to show us how horrible they can be because they have no argument. We'll show them what an argument is, and we'll show them all of the contradictions that have to apply on their model, and they'll have to show us how they get around it mentally. If they want to choose talking about other people's families as a way to get around dealing with the contradictions that occur within their model, so be it. That's what's going to happen, and you'll watch them do it. I'll show you all of the tweets and stuff that I end up getting. If anybody knows of any videos that anybody's making, because I think there's quite a few videos that people have made around us, about us, without actually informing us that they are making these videos.
I am not aware. To be honest, I have no time.
Yeah, I don't watch other videos, really. I still do listen to some of the old stuff that we've done and gone over, because there's some really good stuff in the old videos, going back over the old conversations that we've had. Now, with this stuff afresh is a good thing to do, but I don't often watch other debunker, is that what they called themselves? They call themselves debunkers, but I can't see what they're debunking, to be honest.
I used to watch that debunkers, but this is very hard process, because for example, for 100 debunks, you will catch one which is worth to think about. So this is a very hard and painful process. But sometimes you can catch some good argument, really good argument. But this is a very at rare occasion and well formulated. But you will have to waste like 90% of your time for that. So this is hard.
I would say, like, on that note paper, when I first noticed that this whole arena was even a thing, after a while I came across Quantum Eraser's argument, the so-called Black Swan argument, and it's like, okay, but then not too long after I came across a different argument of how horizontals are parallel, which is why I'm in this Discord server now. So yeah, just to mention it.
I don't be giving my arguments away. saving the prime stuff for Friday.
Sorry.
They're all on Twitter going, let us know your arguments. Why won't you post them now? It's like, dude,
Like
you've not heard them already. Come on.
You spoiled it many times, so you cannot save it on Friday.
I think my point was about quality of argument to back up your point.
Yes, for me, this is very curious how to use dialectic argumentation against logic proof. This is for me, this is funny, very funny.
Semantics, I think, is what they're going to go to. They've been calling other people for semantics, of which we owned semantics, is like, well, that is literally the meaning of the word. You have to get that correct within your formulation of your logic. You've got to be precise with your wording and understand exactly what every word means and choose the words correctly in order to place them in the correct position to form the sentences. And they're all thought out. But when they come with the what I would call the semantic argument, where they just decide to colloquially change the usage of one of the words to something that they want, and then tell you that you don't understand it.
Yes, this is common tactic, so always be aware of that, this is normal procedure within sophistry, is to use ambiguous meaning or vernacular meaning of the word, but in science and geometry, you cannot do that. You shouldn't do that.
Yeah, that's better.
So if someone is trying to segue into vernacular meaning of the word, it means that he is trying to deceive or cheat or just dishonestly win the argument or whatever, but cannot be done. So this is sometimes very hard to disagree, constantly disagree, because sophists are making some kind of procedure of convincing opponent to agree with their changing of definition, and sometimes it it takes much time to do that, but that my advice, never go away from a strict meaning of defined thing. And this is very important, strict defined thing, not just within definition some differences, no, just one meaning, only one meaning, as strict as possible. Never like, for example, like definition ingenious, like surface, for example, which is not, it is not defined. That kind of definition is very good. That's why Globers are using this definition of surface of solid object, which is not defined, because there is some ambiguity there, because it is not specific. But in real definition, like straight line, you cannot do anything with that. So, for example, if Rumpus was talking about shorter distance, he used that because for his purpose, it was the only way. How can he put this shorter distance on the sphere? But he cannot put even points on the sphere, because on the sphere there are no even points. So this is that kind of tactics that they use. So that's why, for example, I insist on even points, because against sophists, it is better definition. Shorter distance, of course, it is very good definition for normal people, let's say, which who understand what straight is, and this is just a common notion what straight is. But if dealing with sophists, it is better, for example, to use this Euclidean definition, because there is no other way. You cannot put it on the surface of the sphere, because you cannot put even points on the surface of the sphere, because on the surface of the sphere they are uneven. That's example how to deal with sophists within definitions. So they are tricky people.
Oh, we all have to deal with sophists. See you later, Saragaki. Thanks for popping in. Hopefully we're going to show everybody what a sophist is. I mean, over the last few days we have been showing people the modern day sophists, but I think people will start to be able to see the sophistry that is an argumentless sophistry. That's what aim to show. Focus on the argument and how we have a discussion and how we can talk together and aim to progress forwards within that discussion. Because I've noticed the progression of a discussion is stopped moving forwards when certain people come around, and that's by purpose or by design. They've learnt how to stifle and disrupt conversations that lead to places. We did notice that very early on, how certain topics and certain conversations get stopped. That's mainly why we're here on our own now. That's mainly why we are talking like we are. Because in other places, these sort of conversations get stopped. And those certain conversations, I'm calling the great paralogism. They're all based around a certain thing that people cannot look at for themselves. They don't allow themselves. I think it's an internal thing where your subconscious takes over and moves you away from these conversations. Perhaps people don't realize it. I think you have to practice this epoche in order to be able to see this occurring. And if you're biased by a model, you will feed into whichever side of this is your preference. So quite a hard job. It's been a long job, but very soon you will start to see this be shown. A lot will end up revealing itself through the argumentation and the discussion that comes around because of it.
It would be good. for learning process for some people. I think it could be very educative
Yeah.
for education, that people could see what's going on. Because if they, for example, globers versus flat earthers are just set up. So they are going around and around with the same pseudo arguments for many years, and in fact, audience is fooled by both sides, because people may think that these sides are opposite, and they are arguing, and this argumentation is good. But in fact, they are just playing some kind of game, using weak arguments or irrelevant arguments, if any argument. But in fact, I think it would be good to introduce hard proofs into science again, and to show people that this is really simple. To defeat sophistry is not very hard. It is more easy than people think. If people are operating within normal scientific logic, like Aristotle's logic, and scientific arguments about science, it is not very difficult to deal with sophists. Not maybe in debate, but in that level, like Socratean method, or asking questions. It is not hard to disarm sophist, asking just wise questions, good questions, and to spot bullshit. So logic will be helpful, even if someone is not good debater. So I would advise people to learn logic, for example, as self-defense against sophistry, even if someone is not going to be very good fighter in arena or in debates, just for self-defense, like immunology, to be self-immune for sophistry. So this is my advice for people who are not going to debate, but still they will benefit from logic.
Yeah, I'd say the logic, or the elenchus, is the best way to talk to a sophist, to expose a sophist. But as far as it's not everybody that can do the debate thing, but once you get an understanding of logic, sometimes just that one question at the right time can work wonders.
Yes. And this is it may be a surprise for this one person who is asking, that he is able to ask that question because he has a logic background. So he is processing in his mind, even if he is not very aware that his mind is doing that. Many things are going, for example, during during your sleep. Many times I could solve some conundrum, logical conundrum, just by sleeping, and I wake up and I knew, because some processes were just started before my sleep, and when I wake up, I had answer. So, but of course, you have to have some logic background to that to start thinking.
Yeah. All within the minds of people. That's where it is. Clear thinking. Thinking clear. How do you do that? Well, that's what I guess what we're all about. In order for you to prepare that sort of stuff, you have to stop torturing your mind first.
Torturing by too much garbage information. This is what it is.
And chemicals as well.
Yes, but in this processing information, because in logic, in fact, we are using many, not many, very few factors to think about some things. You need to think about one or two at the time. But if your head is just full of just information, whatever from the world, it is just distraction. You cannot focus. You have many associations in your mind, which are completely useless in process of thinking, logical thinking. So this is there are many obstacles. People have problems with thinking because they have too much in their brain to carry with them. So sometimes it is better to not to know than to know falsely, because false knowledge is an obstacle to in logical thinking. But not knowing, for me, it is better, because at least you, if you don't know something and you you know that you need to know, you will learn. But if you know you have false knowledge about something, you think that your knowledge is good, and you are trying to use false knowledge to in process of thinking, and conclusion would be bad. So, and even some people don't know if they are thinking and their thinking is based on false knowledge. So they are starting with false premise. They think this premise is okay, but in fact it is not okay.
I was more thinking towards the in order to be able to get yourself to this position, you need to declutter your mind first, i.e. Keep away from TV, media, advertising, and distill your water. That will clear the mind. But then on top of that, you need to be able to exercise your brain. And for that, you need to be able to talk. You need a dialogue. You need somebody to activate that logical process into clear thinking, logical thinking. That's where this Discord is. You can try any other Discord as well. I mean, Please do.
And I would advise also, for example, to learn how to focus, just to read, for example, Euclid. This is very, very slowly, of course, because this is not a novel. So, for example, if someone cannot understand a proof in proposition number X, I would say that he should stop and go through it until he fully understands what in that proposition was said and how it is proven. Because this is not a novel, you have to understand. And sometimes it takes time to fully understand one proposition, what it is, how proof is created, on which axioms based, on which principles, and how it is used in further argumentations. So sometimes it is hard, but still I think it is worth to do that, to go through this hard, sometimes very hard process, because it, for example, for people who are not prepared to that kind of literature, so to speak, they are reluctant because it is too hard. I don't understand. But the thing is that to understand or not to understand is only dependent on your own mind. If it's just like a fight for your understanding, and you can say, I give up, or I not. I can endure and go with that, and I will not stop till I learn. This is my approach to learning things which are hard at start. For example, logic I learned through painful process at the beginning, because I didn't understand what the guy is talking about completely. So I had to stop and read sentence by sentence or word by word what he is talking about, what's the meaning of the word, how it is he's creating these sentences, why this is cause of this effect, how he created whole argumentation. Sometimes I had to stop on one paragraph for like week, because I couldn't go and read more, because I cannot understand what he was talking about further, because I had to understand first what he was talking paragraph above. So sometimes it can be a painful process. It's like exercising your body. You have to exercise your will to do that without muscles. But yes, sometimes it can be painful and can be hard. But I think that if people want to, they are curious for truth and they are seeking somehow for truth, I think it is worth, because in end it gives satisfaction that your mind is working better. Things you didn't understand before, now you can understand. So you are better man, if because intellect is what we have as men. This is our specific device we have, I think. So if we are better at thinking, we are better men. I think that's my approach to that.
And a good night tonight.
Yes, I think my voice is going worse and worse. So I will have to go to bed. So good night. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks for popping in. Yeah, so Model Affliction Mondays will be changing because the Model Afflicted are going on the attack. They're attacking me personally and my family. All for saying simple truth. Level is horizontal. That's it. They're all upset about it. Straight lines are straight without any curvature, any direction. They're upset about that. They're upset about perpendiculars and the geometric relationship between vertical and horizontal, because they don't understand the actual geometric implications of a perpendicular. But because of that, certain few people, I'm guessing the people that are leading the charge for the globe side, I'm guessing they're the ones that are, how would you say, a little bit over keen to get rid of us, or to slander, or to libel, whatever. It doesn't really matter. But those few people, those very few people, the ones that can't talk, they're the ones that are making the push, making me. They're asking for proofs for the things that I'm talking about, which I'm quite happy to give people now. They proofs do exist within reality, so I don't see why we shouldn't be letting people know about these proofs and truths. So I think I'm going to end it a bit early tonight. Preparation is underway for the big presentation of the... I'm going to go for the most simplest arguments as I can with an instruction or my interpretation of the argument and how to present it. I'm going to be treating this as my introduction to rhetoric through the trivium. That's the way I'm going to do it. So, thank you very much. We're having... Oh, Buster. What have we got? Model Affliction. Do you want Model Affliction again? Do you like that? Or one of Buster's new ones? How about a new Buster one? Long out. Two conflicting truths. It's one of my favorites. Okie dokie. Please come and join us tomorrow. Tomorrow is logic. We will start on the introduction, or logic into the argument. Hopefully try and have a build up to Friday. Okay. Thanks for joining us. Model Affliction Monday. Soon to change format. Thank you very much. Join us tomorrow. Logic night. Let's give it a go.
Everybody's got a path to choose. You can critically think or give yourself to accepted information too. Well, you got it right. Everybody's got their own way to go. Fast to what you know. Don't let their opinions throw you off. You got to stay the course you're on. You got it right. Everybody's got their own way to go. Comes the time you have to choose. You can't hold two conflicting truths. Eliminate the wrong path to take. You'll find the answers that you need. Contemplate before you make a choice. You got to let your voice be heard. You never see this place again. You got it right. Everybody's got their own way to go. Comes the time you have to choose. You can't hold two conflicting truths. Eliminate the wrong path to take. You'll find the answers that you need. Try not to enable their thoughts. They got enough problem with this bridge to cross. No matter what I say, they're doomed. You got it right. Everybody's got their own way to go. There comes a time you have to choose.